So Bob, when you look back on that, what were the principles that you think, if you step back and look at it, what that might be able to be applied in other situations? I heard a few things in there. What would you say are the core principles?
Well, I think several quickly. One is, as John Dewey said, there's no freedom without structure. So the oxymoron of a self-managed team is that there will be one team, let's say here, and another one pretty close that manages themselves well. But most of them will be lost. So you have to have some structure in the organization. The second key thing is the experts are the people that work at the furnace, for heaven's sakes. Now the engineers are also experts. The third thing is you have to train other people in the organization to their role as a change agent is different from going in bossy. One time I asked one of these, when they were still self-managed before the supervisor, I asked one of the teams, I said, who's your boss? They said, our boss, we have 12 bosses. In other words, everybody's staff are coming in and telling them, do this, do that, do this, do that. We had to eliminate that. We had to teach the workers, you have one boss. If anybody tells you what to do, you say, and it's different from what you think you are doing, you say, check Rita.
So is that the SPA concept? Is that it, the single point, or
well, it would be that Rita really was the single point. Mm-hmm. She was the one held accountable by the management, and she should be. She was a supervisor. But the other thing about it is that we moved in it's somewhat like Likkert's 4 characteristics. I call it Profile 1, Profile 2, Profile 3, and Profile 4. We began to identify teams that, Profile 1 for me is where basically the workers do, in this part of the profile here that isn't shaded, you can see they only do 2 things, safety and they do assigned work. The supervisor's doing all the rest of the stuff. And then the line goes down, as you can see, to Profile 4, where you see what the supervisor's doing and the workers are doing a lot. Now the problem with most organizations is when they try to go from Profile 1 to Profile 4, they go off the chart. And they get into laissez-faire permissiveness, no clear accountability, and no clear structure, no clear roles, etc. And there's clear productivity gains, as I show in this other chart, from going from Profile 1 to at least to Profile 3. There's some gains to Profile 4, but they're slighter. The other important point here is that some of the groups are doing really well with an authoritarian boss, or being told what to do a lot by Rita. She was able to do that. And if they're doing really well, why would you move them? If they love it, they're more dependent. There's forces in the supervisor, forces in the people. If the people really want to be told more and they're doing well, why do you want to shift that? But mostly, people want to get more responsibility, and we talk about it as an evolutionary move. You don't radically move the whole company, you move each group just slowly.
Bob, what were some of the things that you did with those teams that did want to move and did want to move across? What were some of the interventions?
Well, we did stuff with all the teams. And
so you could tell right away who was really ready to move or who was more susceptible?
Yes. We did use a survey, and it identified things like that I've mentioned really, but how much do you want to be engaged in the problem solving things? And just one item. And so when we would work with each group, they would look at their own situation. They would then brainstorm action, and we'd bring the supervisor in on this too. And at certain points in it, and make plans for how they were going to improve in ways that are important to them. And that's the best way I know to answer that. Each group is its own thing, but each group, I find people want to improve. And their jobs were at stake, man. The plant closing.
Shut the place down.
Yeah. Nobody wanted that. So it's huge motivation.